Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to Friday. We've got through till Friday again. Comes on so quick. And it is live album ranking today. And we're going to do a little bit of Southern Rock Jam with Gov't Mule. Now, Gov't Mule, of course, were a side project of the Allman Brothers band by Warren Hayes and Alan Woody. They just play some great blues. They've done some great covers, especially when they play live. Sadly, Alan Woody is no longer with us, but the music still lives on. They've released 11 live albums. They're all pretty good. There's a right mixture in here, and they are really good to listen to. So this was a toughie. So coming in at number 11 is an album called Sco-Mule. Now, it was recorded over 2 shows in 1999, both in Georgia, and it features the band's original members, guitarist Warren Hayes, bassist Alan Woody, drummer Matt Abbs, along with jazz guitarist John Schofield and keyboardist Dan Marazzo. It was recorded in the Roxy Theatre in Athens, Georgia, of course, where REM are from as well. So on here we've got a track called Hot and Trot, which is a John Schofield number. It's a jazzy sort of thing. It's all right. Tom Thumb is from his album Schizophrenia. They're long and a bit self-indulgent. Doing It to Death, it's a James Brown track, but it goes on and on and on. It becomes a 12-minute track, and you lose it. Birth of a Mule comes next, and of course that's off the Dose album, and it's a little bit long, but it's good. It's the best one on there. They try and do it as a jazzy virtuoso. Then we have Sco-Mule from Deep End Volume 1. And then we have Kind of a Bird, which is a Allman Brothers track. I'm not very keen on this album because it's a bit of a self-indulgent jazzy blues thing. It just didn't work for me, I'm afraid. But the musicianship on it is pretty cool. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 10, we have a live album from 2015, and it's called Dub Side of the Mule. It was recorded on the New Year's Eve 2006 at the Beacon Theatre in New York. Now, there's a couple of versions of this. There was a standard 12-track release consisting of the middle set of the night, and a 34-track deluxe consisting of all 3 sets. The standard edition features a reggae set by Jamaican singer Toots Hibbert, singing his own songs, as well as several covers, including the version of Radiohead's Let It Down and Gov't Mule's Soul Shine. So there's so many people playing on here, so we'll just go through it. So this opens up with Foray Shuffle from Dose, pretty cool. Larger and Live from Dose, pretty cool track again. Then they do a couple of Beatles tracks. They do She Said, She Said and Tomorrow Never Knows. Now, their version of Tomorrow Never Knows is far better. Really good. Then we have a very good cover of Procol Harum's Whiter Shade of Pale. They do a very good version of that. Then we go to the debut album of Gov't Mule, called Gov't Mule. We have Dolphinius, Painted Silver. Then we have Sco-Mule from Volume 1. Good version on here. So Weak, So Strong from High and Mighty. Very good version of that. Then we have a Rolling Stones track, Play With Fire. Excellent cover of that. Then we have Unring the Bell from Unring the Bell. Pretty good. And then on the second CD, we open up with an Al Green track called I Am a Ram, which is pretty good. Then we have 54, 56 was my number, a Toots Hibbert number. great. The Brown's playing and Toots is good. Hard to Handle, which is a Otis Redding song sung by Toots. True Love is a hard to find. Toots Hibbert track again. Pressure Drop from Toots Hibbert. Then they do that great version of Let Down by Radiohead. Excellent version. I've Got Dreams to Remember. Written by Otis Redding, performed by Toots Hibbert and the band. Excellent track. Then we have Reggae Got Soul Feeling. Excellent version of Toots Hibbert. They do a really good version of that. Hard rock. All Toots Hibbert songs. Happy New Year. Turn on the light. Happy New Year is when they all sing Happy New Year, of course. Turn on your love light. And a reggae soul shine. And pretty good. CD3, we've got a few covers on here. We've got Sweet Feeling that features Greg Allman and Friends, and it's a Candy Stanton number. Then they do Bob Dylan's Just Like a Woman from Greg Allman and Friends. I Feel So Bad featuring with a Chuck Willis, and this is a Greg Allman. These are all Greg Allman's. Dreams, the Allman Brothers. Then they do a version of Million and Miles from Yesterday from High and Mighty. Pretty good. Endless Parade from High and Mighty. It's a man's world. James Brown, brilliant. Rambling Gambling Man, which featured John Popper and Bob Seger on this. It Hurts Me Too featured John Popper, and that of course is a Elmore James. Isn't too bad. I'm a bit. Toots is good. It's nice to hear the whole show, so I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 9. Now this was not just a CD, it was a DVD as well. And it's The Deepest End live in concert, recorded on the 7th of October 2003. No, it was released in October, but it was recorded on May the 4th in New Orleans. So basically it's the Deepest Cut, the Deepest End tour when they brought out them 2 albums. Playing for you on this one is Warren Hayes, Matt Abbs on the drums, Danny Lewis on the keyboard. Disc 1. We go start off with a track from Life Before Insanity with a bit of Bad Little Doogie. Great track. Then we have 3 great tracks from Dose: Game Face, Corker, Larger Than Life, Blind Man in the Dark. 15 minutes of jamming and blues, brilliant. Then we go to the Deep End Volume 2 for a bit of Which Way Do We Run. Excellent version of that. They're all great versions, very close to the originals. Fool's Moon from Volume 1 of Deep End. Excellent little track. Sco-Mule's on here, a bit shorter version. Then we have Patchwork Quilt, which is a Phil Lesh song from There's Back Again. Pretty cool track, I like that. Lay of the Sunflower from Deep End Volume 2, another ball-breaking version of that. Then we have John the Revelator, the traditional song that was on Dose. Then they do a cover version of Prince's When Doves Cry. Pretty cool, and they put Beautifully Broken with it as well. Works well, very good. Time to Confess, excellent track. Thanks at the Deep End. All these tracks from these Deep End albums sound much better live. Then they do a 12-minute version of the 3020 Blues, which of course is a Robert Johnson number. Pretty cool what they did to that. Going Down, a Don Nix. First released in 1969. It's still a good track. Slow Happy Days from Deep End Volume 2. I Shall Return from Dose. Trying to Fall from Deep End 2. Driving Rain from Deep End 2. And we end up with a little bit of Soul Shine, which is of course a Allman's Brother from the Shades of Two Worlds album. Not a bad album. I was never really keen on these 2 albums as studio albums, but as live album, as a live material, it is great. So I shall give that an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 8 is a box set that was released in 2002. It's called the Georgia Bootleg box set, and it's recorded on a tour, and that basically it's the same set with a few changes. Most of the songs come off Gov't Mule and Dose, and I'll just so we've got Blind Man in the Dark, Mother Earth, John Revelator, Temporary Setting, Game Face. Then they do a track from Life Before Insanity, No Need to Suffer, pretty cool. Train, and then Eternity's Jeff Bram, which is a Man of Issue orchestra number. Then we have Thelonious Beck, Train again. St. Stephen Jam, which is from the Grateful Dead, Train. Don't Step on the Grass, Sam, which is a great Steppenwolf version they do. Presence of the Lord from Blind Faith. Bertha Mune, Lost Crow Groovies, a great drum solo from Matt. Who Do You Love from Bo Diddley. Then it goes into Mule. Going Out West to Tom Waits track. Spanish Moon from Little Feat. And Gonna Send You Back to Georgia. Basically, you get the whole box set of the same stuff. But on one of the other sets, they do Just Got Paid, ZZ Top, and the same old thing, Muddy Waters. Gonna Send You Back to Georgia from Timmy Shores. Young Man Blues from Moose Ellison, and a version of Good Morning Little Schoolboy, Sonny Boy Williamson. And the next one is no change. It's all the same on that one. They do I Want to See She's So Heavy Jam from the Beatles. She's 19-year-old from Muddy Waters, different. I'm not keen on these box sets where it's basically the same set 4 times or 3 times, but the playing on it is fantastic, and there are a few different tracks. So I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in number 7. Now this was released in 2015 and it was recorded in 2009. It's called Stone Side of the Mule, Volume 1 and 2. Basically, it's a set. They did a set of Stones numbers. Playing on here is Warren Haynes, Matt Abbs, Jorgen Claassen is on bass, and Danny Louie on guitar and backing vocals and keyboards. So they open this up with a track from Aftermath, Under My Thumb. Love their version of it. Monkey Man from Let It Bleed is brilliant. Then they do a song from Goat's Head Soup. These are all ones that Stones wouldn't do. They do Heartbreaker. Then they do Paint It Black. A great version of it. A wonderful version of Angie from Goat's Head Soup. Ventilator Blues, great track from Exile on Main Street. Shattered from Some Girls, brilliant. Wild Horses from Sticky Fingers and Bitch. Pretty good. Then they go a bit modern. They go Slay from Tattoo You. Then they do Play With Fire, of course, which is the B-side of The Last Time. And then Can You Hear Me Knocking from Sticky Fingers. And then they end the set with Brown Sugar from Sticky Fingers. Great album. Doing tracks that the Stones don't do very often. They got it right. It's a great album. A little bit of a tribute to the Stones. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay, then coming in at number 6, this was released in June of 2008, and it includes the entire Halloween performance at the O'Shaughnessy Theatre in Minnesota in 2007, and they do some of their songs, and they do the whole of Led Zeppelin's Houses of the Holy. So it's Warren, Matt, Danny, and Alan on the bass. They actually open up with Play With Fire, which of course is a Stones tracker, but it was on their Mighty High album as well. Time to Confess from the Deep End Volume 2, great track live. Million Miles from Yesterday from High and Mighty is good. Rocking Horse from the debut album, one of my favourite tracks by the band. And then The Birth of the Mule from Dose is pretty cool as well. Larger Than Life from Dose. Some classics here. Fallen Down from Life Before Insanity. The other one, Jam, the Grateful Dead thing. Then we have Blind Man in the Dark from Dose. Now the second disc is the whole of their version of Houses of the Holy, which of course is The Song Remains the Same, The Ranks On, Over the Hills and Far Away, The Crunge, Dancing Draves, with a little bit of drumming, Dial Maker, No Quarter, which is absolutely brilliant on here. They do a fantastic version of that, As Long as the Ocean. It's a great thing. Come Into My Kitchen. And then they end up with just doing a Robert Johnson 3220 Blues. I think this is a great album. They do a very good, you know, Houses of Holy sounds great. And it is such a terrific album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay then, coming in at number 5, this was released in 2019, and it's called Bring On The Music, live at the Capitol Theatre, which was recorded in the Capitol Theatre, Portchester in 2018. So we've got Warren on the guitars, Matt on the drums, Jorgen on the bass, and guitars, keyboards, Danny. So on here, they open up with Travelling Tune Part 1 from Revolution Come and Revolution Go. Really good. Railroad Boy, which is a great track, and that's from By a Thread. We go back to the debut for Beer Mule. Then we have a great version of Beautifully Broken from Deep End Volume 1. Then we have Drawn That Way from the Revolution Come Revolution Go album. Pretty good live. So Is the Man I Want to Be. That's from that album. Then they do a little they do Funny Little Tragedy from Shout. And in the middle of that they put Places Message in a Bottle, which works out quite well. Pretty clever how they've done that. Far Away from Life Before Insanity. Some great playing on that one. Then we have Sin's a Good Man's Brother from Deep End number 1. Great track off that. Then one of my favourite tracks off the Deja Vu Voodoo album, Mr. Man. Brilliant. Brilliant. Then they do a little 2 songs put together. They do a ball-breaking version of Blind Willie Johnson's Dark Was the Night. And then they had their own track, Cold Was the Ground from Revolution Come, Revolution Go. Very good how they do that, how they integrate that track. Then we get Life Before Insanity. Great track. Thorns Alive from the Revolution album. The title track from that album, Revolution Come, Revolution Go. 20 minutes of great music there, them 2 tracks. Then we have a bit of Life Before Insanity for No Need to Suffer. Dreams and Songs from the Revolution Come, Revolution Go album. Pretty good at live versions of these songs from that album. Time to Confess is a classic from the Deep End. Then they do Come Back, which is a Pearl Jam track, and they do a great version of it. World Boss from Shout's pretty good on. Bring On the Music from Shout. And then Travelling Tune Part 2 ends the show. Pretty comprehensive gig, covering all their eras. Lots of stuff from the Revolution Come Go album. And Jorgen has fitted into this band very well by this time, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay then, coming in at number 4. This is the very first album they ever put out. And it was recorded at the Roseland Ballroom on New Year's Eve 1995, where they opened for the Blues Traveller. And it has got Warren on it, of course, Matt and Alan. So all these tracks come off the debut album Part 2. So they do a 16-minute version of Train, which is absolutely fantastic. Temporary Saint, Painted Silver Light. 3 great tracks off that debut album. Then they do a cover of Steppenwolf's Don't Step on the Grass, which came from the second album. Kind of Bird, which Warren wrote while he's working with the Allman Brothers. And then they do Mule. What a great little set. You know, this is at their beginning of their career, and that as going out as this form of this band, it's a brilliant little album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.6. Okay, coming in at number 3, we have Mulennium, which was recorded over the 31st of December 1999, January 1st, 2000 at the Roxy Theatre. And on here we have got Warren, Alan and Matt. Joining them on guitar on here we've got Audley Freed on guitars, Robert Kearns on percussion, Little Milton does a few bits on here as well. Got Johnny Mosier, Barry Rickman, Mark Van Allen. Opens up from Life Before Insanity with a bit of Bad Little Doogie. Excellent track from that album. Staying with that album, we got Lay Down Your Burden. Then we have to Dose for a bit of Blind Man in the Dark. Life Before Insanity. I love that track. Larger Than Life from Dose. Towering Fall from Dose. Then they have the Countdown to the New Millennium. And they kick off the New Millennium after that with a great version of King Crimson's 20th Century Schizoid Man. Then they're going to do a bit of Who. We're going to have a bit of We're Not Going to Take It. Then, of course, they do a great version of Led Zeppelin's Dazed. Well, Jake Holmes, Dazed and Confused, but they play it like Led Zeppelin. Then we have Little Milton joins them on stage, and we've got The Blues Came a Knockin', The Dog and Me from great tracks from Little Milton, Lump Your Stump, I love that track. Then they go into a bit of I Can't Quit You Baby and the great Otis Rush song, It Hurts Me from Elmore James. Is It My Body from Alice Cooper. You don't expect that at a Gov't Mule track, but you do, and it's a great version. Power Soul, Jimi Hendrix. Great version of that. Helter Skelter, a bluesy, rocky version from the Beatles. Sometimes Salvation, the Black Rose number. What a great track. Then you think, God, what else can they do? They do Humble Pie. 30 Days in a Hole. Brilliant. And they end up with an Allman Brothers track, which is pretty obvious because you've got two members of the band in there, and they do End of the Line, which is much better than on the studio version. Then we have an Etta James number, Out in the Rain, I Shall Be Released, and from Dylan. And then we have a great track from Lynyrd Skynyrd. They're brilliant. Simple Man. Brilliant track, and a brilliant version of it. Okay, this is a fantastic show. Some good stuff of their own, some excellent covers, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. But before I do the next one, I've got a real sore throat today. Probably spoke too much last night. Oh, Gesundheit. Okay, coming in at number 2 is an album that was recorded in 2008. At Boston's Forum Theatre on Halloween night, and it's called Dark Side of the Mule. And yes, it's a pun on the Dark Side of the Moon, which they further, and it features one of the background singers that appears on Momentary Lapse and Reason and the Pulse, and them the latest albums, and it's Doug McBroom, and I've seen her sing as well. She's great. So joining it, so we got Warren Matz, Danny Yorgan, Ron Holloway on saxophone, and Durga McBroom on the backing vocals, along with Sophia Ramos and Matcha Taylor. So the first start of the track set, they do some of their stuff. So they start off from Brighter Days from Higher Mighty, which is pretty cool. I love Bad Little Doggy from this. Really good. It's one of the best versions. Brand New Angel from a Higher Mighty, much better than the version on the album. Game Face is a classic. Then they have this little sort of jam, which is they start off from Train, one of their own tracks. They go into Eternity's Breath from the Manu Vishu Orchestra, which is a brilliant version, and St. Stephen's Jam from Grateful Dead. Child of Earth from High and Mighty, one of the best versions of that you'll ever hear. And then they do Kind of a Bird. So we've on the disc 2, this is where they start doing Pink Floyd stuff. So they open up from Medal one of these days. Great version of it. It's a great opener, I think. Then they do Fearless, which is a very good version from Medal. Then we pop over to the Animals album. We get There's Pigs on a Wing 2, which goes nicely into Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 1 to 5 from Wish You Were Here. I Do It Justice. Have a Cigar from Wish You Were Here. Don't hear that very much. Then we have that little bit from Dark Side of the Moon. We have Speak to Me, Breathe in the Air, On the Run, which is fantastic on here. A great version of Time. The Great Gig in the Sky is brilliant. We got Doomgut singing that. And then they do Money. They do a fantastic version of Comfortably Numb. And then on the third disc, they open up with Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 6 to 9. You don't hear that very often live, and it's brilliant to hear that. Great. Wish You Were Here, from Wish You Were Here, of course, and brilliant. And then they end the song with a couple of their own. They do Million Miles from Yesterday and High and Mighty, and Blind Man in the Dark from Dose. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Their covers of the Pink Floyd stuff is brilliant. I love this album. I really do. And I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. But my number one album, live album from these, is another of their New Year's Eve shows that was done in 1998 at the Atlanta, Georgia. And it's called Live with a Little Help from Our Friends. So it's in 2 editions as a 4D set, and it came out as 2 separate albums as well. So Gov't Mule are the classic lineup: Warren, Matt and Alan. And on here we've got Kirk West, who does an induction on Wandering Child, Mark Ford on guitars, Chuck Leavell, who plays with the Stones on piano, the great Derek Trucks on guitar, great blues player. We've got Bernie Worrell on organ, Euronko Scott percussion, Randall Brambler on saxophone, Jerry Herring on guitar. So the first track is Wandering Child from Life Before Insanity. Love how that starts. The introduction from Kirk West, very good. Then we have the Thoray's Shuffle, which has always been a great track from Dose. Noted Suffer from Life Before Insanity, fantastic track. Dolphinius from Gov't Mule, a little bit before it goes in to a cover version of, believe it or not, War Pigs. The crowd go wild. It's a great version. We then do 30 Days in the Hole from Humble Pie. I love that track, and they always do a great version of that. Then they do a track that they recorded on their Gov't Mule album, but it's actually the brilliant Mr. Big from Free. Absolutely fantastic version of it. Then we have The Hunter, which is of course an Albert King track co-wrote by Dunn and Cropper. Brilliant track, and they do a brilliant version of it. Gamba's Roll, a great track from the Seven Turns album by the Allman Brothers. It's a very good version of it. It's 13 minutes of brilliance. Then they do this wonderful Look Over Yonder World. James Clark, brilliant. We have a bit of 30-20 Blues from Robert Johnson. Incredible version. I Shall Return from Dose. Soul Shine, a great version. It was written by Warren Haynes for the Allman Brothers. Then we have Mule from Gov't Mule. Disc 3 starts off with a great cover of the Spanish Moon from Little Feat. Great band they are. Then we have a Dave Mason track called Sad and Deep as You. Pretty good. Third Stone from the Sun, Jimi Hendrix Experience. Devil Likes It Slow, Cortez the Killer from Neil Young and the Crazy Horse. Afro Blue Santa Maria, which is 29 minutes long. It's absolutely brilliant. And then there's a little studio outtake from called Pygmy Twilight from Zappa and the Mothers. Just a thing of this. I think this is just a great live album. Their own stuff's good, some great covers, and it features a lot of songs from their forthcoming album, Life Before Insanity. So this gig was before that album come out, and they shown off some new tracks. It's a great performance. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 9.3. Sorry. Okay, that's all for this one. I'll be back very shortly with a one-off album review. And you know, the other week we did Teenage Fan Club, and in that, while listening to that, I found this album they did with a poet called Jad Fair. So I thought I would do that separately because it's a little bit different from what they normally do. So that's what's coming up next. So bye for now.